Hello, I'm Sugar Flanagan, and we're aboard the schooner Alcyone at the 2008 Port Townsend Wooden Boat Show. Schooner Alcyone has been in our family for almost 21 years now. We've been to almost every boat festival here except when we're off cruising. We've taken Alcyone off for 5 blue water cruises, sailing to New Zealand, sailing to Ireland and back, and down to Tahiti. I guess landfalling Tahiti 4 times, Hawaii 5 times in that period, and missing 3 of the boat shows in that period. She's a 65-foot gaff-rigged schooner modeled after Gloucester-style fishing schooner, so she has kind of a workboat appearance to her. We have dories on deck that traditionally would be used for rowing out and catching fish. We teach kids how to row on them instead. We've been raising our family aboard the boat for last 17, almost 18 years. Both of our children were basically aboard the boat the day they were born and have been raised for the last, in Alice's case, 17 and a half years aboard the schooner, and Darby for the last 13 and a half years. Raising a family on the boat has treated us very well. They're both very good swimmers, both very good sailors, and both very good students, and a pleasure for us to have around. I introduce you to my wife, Leslie. On the 30th, we just celebrated 22 years of marriage and 21 years of boat ownership.
Hello, my name is Leslie, and I guess I'll talk about raising a family on a boat. We have had both girls on the boat sailing offshore since they were little. Alice had her first birthday in Mexico. We do charter with the boat, so she started chartering with us. She was born in January, so when she was 6 months old, she started sailing with us in the San Juan Islands, and then we went offshore in the fall down to Mexico and out to Hawaii, and by the time she was 1.5, she'd sailed back to Port Townsend. And then her sister was born while we were planning a trip to New Zealand, and so we'd sailed down to Oxnard, and Darby was born in Oxnard, California, and she crossed the equator when she was 3 months old and finished the sail down to New Zealand and back to Port Townsend by the time she was 2 years old. They didn't really get sick. Their parents were always around. They were usually very happy that their parents were always around. The boat was netted in, so it was like a big playpen. We had netting along the lifelines and netting after the main helm seat and forward of the foremast, so it was like 4 foot tall and a big playpen for them. And they always had lots of people around besides us. We usually sailed with a crew, so we had 2 professional crews on board and would take up to 4 guests, so they had lots of aunts and uncles to play with and beautiful sandy beaches and swimming, and for their young life they really enjoyed it. Since then, we've done 2 more extended offshore passages with them. When the girls were older, Alice was maybe 12 and Darby 8. We sailed on a 2-year trip over to Ireland and back. By that time, we were into school, and so we had a teacher, and one of our crew was also a teacher. And they came back to school doing really well, having had that experience of one-to-one teaching. And in 2006 we got back from a trip where we went down the coast of California and slowly through Mexico, through the French Polynesian Islands and up to Hawaii and Alaska and back down. We had another teacher on board for that. And the idea behind that trip was that now Darby was old enough to start standing watches, because on the trip to Ireland, Alice, our eldest, got involved in standing watches and becoming part of the crew, where Darby had always been the little kid, so we wanted to go offshore one more time for Darby to get that experience. Now the girls, Alice is a senior in high school and Darby will be entering high school next year, so we feel we're home for a while. Port Townsend is our home port. We do charter and sail training with kids out of Port Townsend in the summer and call it home now in the winter. We've just last summer through last winter built a house because Alice at 17 and a half decided she'd like to try living with a bedroom, more than 2 drawers to her name and 3 pairs of shoes. And the long walk down the dock to the shower that you put quarters in, having one, in the house was much better. So as of last February, we've been living ashore. We were back on board the boat for the summer, but we've all enjoyed living ashore. Enjoyed having a garden and the things that you never have when you live on a boat. Is that enough? Yeah.